everybody, welcome back to Getting Outdoors Radio. Wow, I hope you enjoyed that Australian hunt as much as I did. Old Willis had me thinking I was in Australia a while ago, talking about that red stag hunt. We're going to talk to him in a little while about some more hunting he did in Australia. But right now, all y'all listened in last week, we had Kevin Martin on here with the 81st Annual Deep Sea Fishing Rodeo. And as we talked about, the governor and the Commissioner Gunner guy have opened up red snapper season for the month of July on the weekends. And of course, it will fall into the Alabama Deep Sea Fishing Rodeo next weekend. They have a special category, red snapper category. However, it was I don't know if it's not a controversy, but it is a question where Alabama has always had their state waters go out 3 miles, and the legislature recently made it 9 miles. So next weekend, last weekend and this weekend, the fishermen are a little bit confused about how that's going to work. So I went straight to the top and hooked up with the director of the Alabama Marine Resources, Mr. Chris Blankenship, and he's on the phone with us. Good morning, Chris. Thanks so much for taking the time to be with us this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, now you know what the issue is. What do you want to tell the people out there about it? Because I'm sure you've been talking about it all week.
It has definitely been a topic of conversation since we announced the weekend season. And it is confusing for the public, and I do hate that this year. But I do appreciate the legislature passing the bill last year to extend our state waters out to 9 miles for fisheries management. And what it simply comes down to is that, the states of Texas and Florida have 9 miles recognized by the federal government. And then Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana, we've all passed legislation in our state legislature to extend our state waters, and we're working with our congressional delegations to have that recognized federally. But until that happens, Louisiana's been kind of doing what we're doing, telling people that they recognize out to 9 miles. And so far, the federal government hadn't really done anything in that 3 to 9 mile area. So the governor and the commissioner felt like that since our legislature passed that bill, that those were our waters, and so we were going to, as a state, allow people to fish in there. Now, we don't really have any control over what the Coast Guard does or the National Marine Fisheries Service, but we have worked with them and explained our position to them. And and I know it does put the public in a dangerous situation to have to make a choice, but we're doing what we feel is best for Alabama.
Absolutely. So if I hear what you're saying right, if I enter that deep sea fishing rodeo and want to catch those 2 red snapper every day to be eligible for the prizes, I can legally fish 3 miles out with no problem at all. But if I venture out to the 9 miles, I could have a problem with the federal boys, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
That's right. Yeah. Out to 3 miles, you're good. Those are our undisputed state waters, and those are open on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays in July to catch red snapper. And we do have some reefs, nearshore reef areas off of Orange Beach and Gulf Shores, and then some rigs off of Dolphin Island, gas rigs, and a few other places that you can catch red snapper within those 3 miles. They are limited, but there are legal-sized fish in there. And then outside of 9 miles, you are
outside of 3 miles.
Right, but outside of 9 miles, that's closed. By the state and the federal government recognizes that as being closed for red snapper and triggerfish. So you're subject to a ticket out there from both Alabama Marine Resources and from the Coast Guard or the National Marine Fisheries Service. Mm-hmm. So between 3 and 9 miles, because of the confusion,
that's the gray area
of us passing that in our state legislature. The commissioner and we've discussed it, that the state's just not enforcing a closure within that 3 to 9 mile area. But it is possible that the Coast Guard would stop somebody in there and then either issue them a citation that would be handled through federal court, or they may just give them a warning. Now, I can't really speak on behalf of the Coast Guard and what they will do, but it is if you're fishing between that 3 and 9 miles, you are somewhat at risk, and so we've just tried to make everybody know that
that's what we wanted. That's why you're on here today. And while we're talking about red snapper, and I appreciate you clearing that up, and that's, you can't say it any clearer than that. While we're talking about red snapper, Kevin was telling us Dr. Ship, Bob Ship, and them are going to be doing all kind of stuff as they bring the snapper in. That's why they're urging everybody to catch your 2 red snapper and bring them into the weigh-in station. And what are y'all going to be? What kind of research are y'all doing on the snapper next weekend during the rodeo?
One of the main factors when we were looking at how long of a season that we thought we could have in state waters, and we thought it'd be about 12 to 15 days to be about what we could conceivably have enough fish to have that long of a state water season. And so you're talking with a commissioner, and he wanted to do it on the weekends for the economic impact for our state. But I really wanted to do it on these weekends because this weekend is the Dauphin Island Martin Young Anglers Tournament, and then next weekend is the big deep sea fishing rodeo. And I wanted us to be able to collect a bunch of data off of those fish that were being caught out of state waters that we don't normally see. So what we'll be doing is, in the Dauphin Island Sea Lab, getting age composition off those fish, measuring the length, taking out the odorless, where we can count those. You count those almost like the rings on a tree. When you cut those out of the head of those snapper, so you see how old they are. And that's information that we need for stock assessments and for management to see if there's any difference between the age at length of those fish from our state waters closer to shore compared to the red snapper that we catch 10 miles out and further that we usually see when we do our work at the dock and we take these odorless. So there's a lot of good information that we can get from these fish, and that's one good thing about the deep sea fishing rodeo. You see all kinds of fish that you don't normally see, or that you don't, they all come into one place, and so you can get a lot of good biological information at these big fishing tournaments.
Well, I tell you what, Chris, I want you to know how much we appreciate all the work your division does, and Dr. Bob Ship. Y'all on top of it down there, and I think the future of Gulf fishing, and especially the red snapper fishing, is in very good hands. You guys are doing an excellent job, and I really do appreciate it.
Well, I don't feel like we can hardly get much worse than where we were this year. So we're really working hard to be able to take this over and manage it on the state level, where we would manage it all the way out to 200 miles.
There you go.
That's our goal.
That's our goal, and like I said, what y'all are doing, and if the public will help you out, which I'm sure they will, all the fishermen, it's going to be a win-win for everybody.
That's right, and I'm just glad to see people catch fish. We got plenty of red snapper. We built a great artificial reef system offshore of Alabama, the best in the country, biggest, largest in the country. And I want our people to be able to go out there and take advantage of that. And the way the federal government's managing it right now, they just can't. And so we really are striving to go to regional management or state management of this fishery, and working with our congressional delegation to make some changes in federal law that would help that happen. And we're going to be working hard. Appreciate all the help from Senator Sessions and Shelby, and especially Congressman Byrne, that are working really hard to help us make that happen.
Well, I appreciate it too, and we, like I said, once again, we appreciate everything you doing. I know you're a busy man, and I appreciate you taking the time to share all this information with our listeners this morning. And I'll stay in touch with you guys, and once again, thanks for being on the show this morning.
Yes, sir. Have a good weekend.
All right, bye-bye.